Hello, everybody. So, this is show number 4 for Creators of New Earth, which means I am still a greenhorn, but I have a seasoned person on here with me. His name is Todd Medina from Soulogy. So, if you're somebody who watches Soulogy a lot, you already know the skinny on that. But my platform is very new and I don't have a large audience, and I am pretty sure that a lot of the new people that are coming on here don't know about Soulogy. So I would like to take a moment to tell you how I found Soulogy and introduce Todd, and then Todd and I'll have a little conversation. So let's see. The pandemic had broken out. I had foot surgery and was um, basically in bed most of the time because I couldn't walk on my foot unless I was walking with a knee scooter. So I could only put pressure on one of my feet. And so I was doing a lot of research about all of the rats I smelled around the pandemic. And I had already known from a very early age that things are not what they seem. I remember um, in my undergrad work, I studied sociology. And when I was 19, I really didn't know anything about anything, including like the underbelly of the government and this and that and the other. And I started to learn about it. I remember learning about, the Trilateral Commission and all this stuff, and I was onto it right away. So my whole life, I've known that, there's more to life than what we are being sold through our socialization, our acculturation, institutions, mainstream, anything, pretty much. And I paid a fair amount of attention to it, but not a ton of attention, because, I was just doing my life. But then once the pandemic broke out, I started paying a lot of attention and started um, looking in nooks and crannies and pulling up rugs. And yeah, I was not liking what I found. It was very discouraging, depressing, disappointing, saddening, maddening. And so I decided that if I was going to, you could go down rabbit holes for the rest of your life and you're just going to find more of the same shit. So I wanted to I wanted to look for things and people that were uplifting. It's like, okay, well, if there's all this going on, what else is going on? What else is going on that's going in the direction that I want to move in? Like where, like in Santa Fe, it's so easy to meet people who are broad-minded, intellectuals and philosophers and uh, healers and star seeds and artists and people with a pretty broad scope. Um, but I wanted to see what was going on out there beyond my friends' circle and beyond the world of Santa Fe. And I had discovered a show host named Z Earthstar. And she, on her Facebook page, she posted something saying, "Hey, Todd Medina's going to interview me on Soulogy," two things I'd never heard of before. And come check it out. So the show comes on, and instantly I just connected to Todd. I thought, wow, I like how this person presents themselves. I like their energy. I like the way they speak. I like what they speak of. And so I started following Soulogy. And then later, Todd invited me on Soulogy. And then I ended up going to Soulogy Fest in Sedona and Soulogy Fest in Arizona. And people who I had become friends with just online all of a sudden appeared in my real life. People like Delia and Joan and Kim and Franco and all these people came to life. And the connections are still strong, and it was fun to see everybody again in Arkansas this summer. And then over time, I heard Todd saying, repeatedly, like, if anybody has a mind to do, this, do it, because we need a lot of voices out there. And I had been wanting to do it for some time. I'd been wanting to start a blog and start a website and start doing something like this. And I guess Todd said it enough times that it really pierced me. And I thought, for my own growth and for the spirit of community, I really want to do this. So I started doing it. But I want to say more, Todd, and I have some things I would like to share about you and about Soulogy, but I just talked a big long while, so I
It's
just
okay.
say
Go
I
ahead. Say
I just
whatever you want to say. Go
okay.
ahead.
So, sitting in front of you, if you haven't met him before, is Todd Medina, and he is the creator of Soulogy. And on the ticker tape underneath, there's all the different platforms and ways that you can get a hold of Soulogy, or Todd Medina himself. And um, Soulogy is pretty amazing, and before Soulogy was even born, Todd had already had a lot of experiences that showed him what many of us on this show and on Soulogy already know, that there's more to life than what we're being presented with, right? So I'll let Todd speak to his own life, but let's just say he has access to many facets of himself, and he's highly connected to spirit, and they interact with him and he interacts with them. And whether that's his shaman self from a past life as a Native American, or whether it's Mary Magdalene or Jesus or Assyrian or whoever, whether it's ravens or owls, um, he is deeply connected, as many of the people are that he brings on his show. And uh, years ago, Todd, after raising 6 children and doing the mainstream life, making 6 figures at a big company, um, some things happened, and that snowballed, and almost as if overnight, he found himself homeless for a couple of years. And while he was homeless, he had a flip phone, and he got a message from spirit to start getting on Facebook and start talking. So he did. And that was Soulogy. And then later, Morgan came into the picture, and that's his wife. And she lives in Australia at the moment. And she said, this is great that you're getting on there and talking, but now you need to start bringing other people on. And, I think in this time where the veils are so thin, it is so important for us to be connecting with each other and to have community. Because sometimes we can be very isolated, either by virtue of our beliefs or by virtue of our geographical location. Maybe we can't find people out there that are viewing things through a similar lens as we are. And if I stop and think about all of the connections that Soulogy has provided, I mean, there's people in my life that I never would have met through Soulogy. There's experiences that I've had that I never would have had if I didn't go to Soulogy Fest. Um, I've taken some visits with Morgan to the New Earth Grid with a group of people, and I never would have had those experiences. I did a private visit to the New Earth Grid with you and Morgan, where we um, went inside a pyramid and had a visit with Sekhmet and Bastet, and I was basically uh, initiated into my next level of life. And it just goes on and on. And Todd, one thing that I really am amazed at your ability to, when you have conversations with people, you are able to, and it's not like you're personally trying to pull something out of them, but you ask questions that if you didn't ask them, that person might have never shared what your question prompted. And it's really an art, because I've watched you do it, thousands of times by now. And And it's amazing. It's amazing what you've created. And I don't know if people who aren't aware of Soulogy, or even maybe they are aware of Soulogy, if I stop and think about it once I started doing this, because I have a full-time job, I'm a full-time caretaker. So it's interesting to try to find time to even get on here and do this. But I was thinking about it when I got home from Arkansas, and I thought, wow, literally Todd lives and breathes Soulogy, because I think of how many times you're on here a day, how you're on here every day, how in 10 years you've only taken 6 days off. And then I think about all the things behind the scenes that don't have anything to do with being in front of the audience or interviewing people, having conversations with people. Um, all the videos you make where you are editing things and putting clips together. Um, and taking time out to create with Ty, and then having a bit of your life to yourself off screen and all those adventures, and then working on sologynetwork.com, where you're creating a platform for all of us to be able to come on and say whatever we want to say whenever we want to say it without being edited. And your ability to create a safe space to bring things out in people that help other people see, like, hey, I'm not alone, and help people be seen and be heard. And it's amazing. I think of this saying, it says, if you want to see the state of your future lives, look at your actions now. And if you want to see your actions from past lives, look at the condition of your life now. And I realized that you doing Soulogy, it looks like you're just doing it in this life, but there's so many things that had to come together and coalesce in this life and before this life for you to be able to do what you're doing. It's a huge container that you hold. And I don't know, Todd. I just want to give props to you. I've talked more than enough, and I would like us to have more of a conversation than this be a monologue. But I want to say that I see you and I love you and I'm thankful for you, and I'm so grateful for Soulogy, and I'm grateful for your inspiration, which is why I'm on here now. One of the major reasons I'm on here now. And I want to turn the floor over to you a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want me to say?
Well,
What do you want me to? Or do you want me just to wing it?
well, it's interesting because sometimes when I get on these shows, my guests will say, "Oh, well, what are we going to talk about?" Or, or I'll ask them what they want to talk about, or maybe they ask me to make them a list of questions, or they give me a list of things they want to talk about. And I realized that, I thought, well, it's Todd and he wings it every day, he
Yeah.
has conversations with people, and there's just a flow there. So I was like, well, you know what? Let me try uh winging it and doing a free fall and see
Free fall.
see
Free
what
fall freestyle.
free flow freestyle, yeah, and see what happens.
Yeah. All
So
right.
I mean, if you want, you could speak to anything I've just said, like your life before Soulogy,
Oh.
or how Soulogy came about, or
Mm.
uh, what your life, bringing Soulogy into creation has been like, or why you continue to do Soulogy. I mean, anything you want to talk about, it's all fair game, even if it's nothing that I just suggested. I'm just giving you ideas.
Well, I don't know. Obviously, I'm like a lot of us going through a lot of stuff, you know.
Mhm.
But I think the main thing is that we show up. And I think we first have to acknowledge that we showed up here.
On Earth.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the main thing, Um, as far as like, myself, I mean, I've I've always been like a translator my whole life. I've always been able to encapsulate things and explain things in a way that I think it's kind of universal, I guess, compared to most. It's just an ability or something I was born with. I don't know, but and like so when I I guess reawoke in May 30th, 2011. What happened was for the first probably I don't know 4 years until I met Morgan in September 2015. And even after that, I set it up to where, from a human perspective, I blocked myself uh, from some direct connections because it would have just screwed the whole game for me. So what happened? Um, I attracted a lot of mediums and psychics, and I have a strong um, intuition. I can spot ego. Not as a bad thing. I'm not saying that, but I can spot the the presence of the egoic when dealing with the astral or dealing with channelings or whatever, and so that allows me to figure out what information I'm supposed to get. I had a lot of in the first 2 3 years. I had a lot of psychics and mediums, and I'm talking like every week or two that would just pop up out of the blue. And this is when I was just writing. This was in the early days. And they would have messages for me. And at the same time, my third eye had exploded. And, but that's what I figured out real quick. I mean, most of the mediums and psychics that I ran into, I was not only receiving, but I was also giving them information. And they all caught on to that real quick. And it was usually a week or two. Uh, it was usually a week or two. I got to move that thing, but that I would have an encounter, and there would be a connection, and then you move on, right? So that I guess that's kind of you know transferred over to the show. So I know I have a knack for asking questions. They come from this place that's um, where all my aspects live. So you'll see me looking around a lot. It's because I'm looking for to tap into that part of me or a part of me that can relate to whoever I'm talking to. So I guess you could say my soul is like a chameleon, and I can align with anyone. Um, it's just something that I came to the party with. So if I combine that with being able to translate, um, and a few other things, I guess, then I think that's, um, what I personally bring to the table, or
Mm.
part of my makeup. But so
Can you
yeah, what? Go
can
ahead.
you um so earlier on when you started to explain things, you said that you cut yourself from you cut yourself off from certain things because it
Yeah.
would have ruined things. Can you go a little deeper into that?
Well, in this lifetime, um, obviously the plan was what you see, and so from a soul level, I set it up to where I would have to have these interactions with mediums and psychics and people to basically build the experience in order to be able to do what I do. If I had if I had the information
Hmm.
all the time, I wouldn't have been able to develop the human part of it, the human consciousness. I mean, and this is something I don't talk about these things. I don't even talk to him about with Morgan really. These are just things that I don't know. I don't really think about, but um, I did speak to Franco one time. It was one of the last videos, the second to last video we ever did. I think I actually released it as the last one, where we actually had a private conversation, and um, it was the only time we ever did this. We just kind of dived into my being, and it wasn't really a session. We had such uh, excuse me, a strong connection that within the first few minutes, if you watch it, I'm asking that question. And he basically says, you already know the answer, and as I was asking the question, I was getting the answer, which I had already gotten before, and so he recognized it, um, and yeah, so it was just a matter of like setting up the template for the life, and I set it up to my advantage to where I would have these interactions, and I would quickly discover or reaffirm when I reawoke that I had a high level of intuition, um, and that I'm kind of even in my previous career or whatever, I've always been a producer, putting things together, peacemaker, pulling people together. I think I obviously didn't get to go to the Soulogy Fest in Arkansas. I was doing grid work, and but the one thing that really touched me, a lot of things did, was my daughter, and
That was amazing. That was so amazing.
yeah. So to hear her say that, what she said was, my dad has this thing about bringing people together, and yeah. So you know, I just I'm a bit of a mess, but you mentioned some other things too, and I think that it's important because I almost walked away, and I'm still not, you know I'm gonna show up one way or the other, but I almost walked away because it has been a lot. I'm not afraid to share, and I'm not afraid to be myself, and so Solji Solji has been a part of my life, since March of 2012. Every day, all day long, every single day, you know.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of energy. Um, it doesn't pay well, and it's hard. It's tough, and it's gotten tougher. But I think we're in a really important place. I believe we've moved past certain things. I don't get into all this, the different narratives and who describes it right. I think we've reached the promised land, and I feel like we've come out on the other side. I know for myself, and I feel a bit weary, but I also can feel that Soulogy is going to expand tremendously if I choose to go that route, which I'm hoping to, and I want to. But if I can't pull it together physically, mentally, emotionally, then I can't do it. So, but if we do move forward, which I'm intending to do, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm in this studio most of my time. Even when I'm not on camera, and but we have a really solid partner with a Canadian company, and I'm gonna keep walking that direction, and I feel like that it's all gonna work, and I think at that point, once it's actually launched and people start to build their universes within it, then I won't have that role anymore. I might have a show once a day or 3 times a week or once a week or I don't know, but
Yeah.
I feel like that because I just know because I've been told this for 10 years.
Yeah.
I also know that it's going to bring a lot of abundance uh, that will allow people to be themselves and get paid for it, which is really cool to me. Really cool. I find that to be the biggest motivator
Hmm.
is to create a space where people can just be themselves, just just an expansion of what we've tried to put together over the years. So I yeah, so I kind of got off track, but
No, you
I
didn't.
did well. I just um like from a soul level, from a spiritual level, because I see it as spirit, soul, human, spirit being just pure oneness, and we can all you could call it akashic or morphic field or whatever you want to call it. Um, Soul being, as Franco would explain, there's a soul lineage, a specific soul signature to that soul, and then there's a human lineage. And I went back and forth with him on this, and I used to say, "So you saying the human has a soul?" And eventually, that's what he said. Yes, in a way. He would always say, "In a way." I get it. I get it. But I guess what I'm saying is that from a soul level, like most of us at this point, if not all of us, I'm solid as a fucking rock. You know, that's not going to change. At the human level, I think we've been through a lot, and I push myself a lot. And I'm not just talking about the physical. I'm talking about in dream state and when I'm out of body. That's a choice that we make. That's a free will choice that we make. I've worked with this energy for about a year and a half. I mean, really, and this is something that's really been just a kind of a private, solitary project where I examine the dreams, where I ask for the dreams, I ask for the information, I ask to be shown more, uh, and slowly, I'm being spoon fed the information, uh, so I know how busy I can be. But it does take a toll, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. You wake up very dehydrated. You wake up like you feel like you've been beat up. There's just certain power points in the cycle of, let's say, the month or the moon cycles where things get ramped up like they're about to in a couple of days. Um, so it's a we've and I have to say, as I go, I would believe people can relate to this. You know, it's taken a toll on the human being, and it's no longer for me. It's no longer a situation where um, we're going to ride that horse till it drops. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I've, I think we're at a kind of a crossroads or a precipice, and I think what it involves is, what do you want to do from here? And I think that to make that choice, the human has to be the decision maker. So it can't be spiritually bypassed anymore. And that is, to me, is where I spend a lot of my time with myself is really examining what I want, etc. You know, what I want to do, what makes me happy and makes me smile. And I find that, doing that, it's not as simple as it sounds because yeah,
Believe me, I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. It's really not, because then you start to examine things that were subtle or in the background. Uh, and I'm talking about prejudices and biases, uh, pattern behavior that we don't even think about, second nature to the human being. So you really peel back. Like, I mean, this has been my experience, and I would say probably a lot of people this year has been an experience where you're peeling back to the point where we don't have a choice. And people have the dates and they say this and they say that. It's fucking Groundhog Day. This is the whole trick. The whole trick is that every day is the same. And those stars and the movement of the celestial bodies and the moon cycle, that's just the map that we left. That's just the cookie crumb trail. That's it. It's not any more or less. It's a hologram. It's our playground. It's just our guidance, right?
Mhm.
I think we're going to liberate ourselves
Mhm.
from being dictated. And I have a friend over here who's a very very accomplished esoteric astrologer.
Ty. Yeah.
Yes, and
He's
I
very
don't. Yeah, and I don't discount, but I'll be damned. I'll be damned if I'm going to let stars tell me what to do. The
mhm.
sun, Mother Goddess, Father God. Not that may sound a little sacrilegious, but
No.
it's not, because I am made in the image. I'm made in the image, which means I'm just like them, which means I have a mind of my own.
Mhm.
So I think this is where we're at. I don't think that, what we see in these communities and what's being put out, this is to me being recycled, recycled, recycled. It's time to shit or get off the pot. Okay. And what that means is full sovereignty across the board. And if we can't find our sovereignty and our independence from local government or national government or religion or cultural uh, customs or whatever the hell it is, because all of it was basically the whetstone that we sharpen our soul with. And so I guess what I'm saying is our expectations of what heaven on earth is going to be, we don't have a clue. We don't have a clue. Nobody has a clue. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Deepak Chopra or whatever the hell his name is. I don't care.
Yeah.
But what
I
what
get it.
but it's because here's the thing. There in essence, there's 8 billion conversions being made. So there's 8 billion earths. How far can we take this oneness, that spirit that the soul knows so well and that is transferring to the human? You know, I just think it's a standalone situation now. And what happens is we create from our level of love for ourselves,
Yes.
and the more we love, and you can't fake it, right? You got to touch every step on the soul highway. But the more we love ourselves, the greater our communication and communion is going to be with that which we are made in the image of and are. And uh, and so the intel becomes clearer and it becomes fast. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, especially these last 3 or 4 months. And so what I'm trying to say is there is no there are no walls here. It's more to me like what we experience in dream state or lucid dream.
Yep.
It's going from one thing to another, basically. There's still a journey and there's still a lineage, and there's still a multidimensionality. But we came here, forget the stories. We came here to have an experience to maximize all of our abilities, every single one of them, in a very physical, dense environment. It's never been done. But now we're at a point where I believe we're going to see some real serious results. And
We
and
already are, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But it's more in the energetic field. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, I guess what I'm saying, the confirmation, the download is the experience itself.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you might hear me say a lot. I question everything, every person, everything said to me, whether it's from Father God, Mother Goddess, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, because it's all me. So if there is infiltration in the perfect design of this earth, and through that infiltration and deception, or whatever narrative you want to talk about, I like Franco's narrative the best because there is no dark and light, you know. But if they control the mainstream media, and they control TV and radio and music, then what the hell, you know, how the hell can we dismiss the possibility that someone is putting thoughts in our head?
You can't. You
You
can't.
can't. So what do you got left? I
You're
did that. I did that preacher uh, rant 26, 15, 14. When I first started doing videos, and so I'm real skinny. I got a brown shirt on and a backpack, and that was a download. Those were all downloads. And it was how do you test your faith and how do you find your soul? And the whole point is that every single thing, if necessary, will be taken away. Why? Because what do you got left? That's it. That's it. But what is that? It's not a lowly human in a biological suit that is gonna, and it's not even a guarantee that when this physical body expires that I'm right about soul and spirit.
Yeah.
But what it does say is I'm here right now. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let this world, I said it back then and I'll say it now. The only difference is now is our perspectives have expanded, and we have to contemplate more dark and light, right? So the only thing that matters is I'm here right now. I am a conscious spirit, soul, human being. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let anything or anyone stand in my way. And I'm going to try to bring as many people with me as I can. That's really just the way it is. My first wife, really, and God bless her, and I love her to this day. She would say to me, because I mean, back then I was doing what a lot of people were doing. I was journaling every night for hours and hours and hours, and connecting, reading books, and listening to tapes, and I would always tell her, I'm here to be a light on the path for others. I'm here to serve the collective. And it was, we were both of Hispanic heritage. She came from a very strong family that didn't have a lot of divorces, at least not at that time. Um, so it was a very stable kind of cultural, foundation. And so her idea, and rightfully so, her idea was, well, you should just be worried about your family. But it's never been that way with me.
But you are. It's your whole family,
I
right?
guess so.
It's
Yeah.
not just your immediate nuclear family. It's your spiritual family. It's us. It's the people on Soulogy. It's the people who you're visiting with in the dream time. It's the people in other dimensions. It's the extended family. That's your whole thing. You are all about family, I would say.
Yeah, I see your point.
About bringing people with you. That's your family.
Yeah, I see your point. Well, we're all family. You're right. And I think from a soul level, I understood that. I chose, I had a Kundalini awakening. Or what people say Kundalini awakening. I had a Kundalini experience at 25 twice within 3 or 4 days. And it scared the living hell out of me because I was sitting on the bed and I literally felt my feet hit the ground. Like when you get out of bed, you put your feet on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I got so scared, or freaked out anyway, that I just shut it down. I kept reading and I kept doing the things that communion, praying, whatever. But I went back and examined it. I actually had a path that would have taken me to to a point. Um, imagine so Todd at 25 and he just went into the light, went into the same kind of thing. But I chose to not do that. I chose to go into two more deep dives. and and of course they culminated at 49 with what you described at the beginning of the show. Um, this is the kind of information, right, that I find most valuable for myself, because there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff in the community. You hear all these different things, and all that stuff's going to dry up. I can promise you. I can promise you it's going to, because every bit of it carries it carries imperfection. It carries ego. It carries a diminished channeling. It's a fact, because it carries frequencies of separation and division, but
Mhm.
they've been necessary.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
my go-to, because what happens is, and I've done it, and I still might do it, but we look for things that will substantiate our existence. We look for things. What does that mean? That means that we look for things that line up with our bullshit, basically. Okay, and it's
Yeah.
the fucking truth.
I know. That's why I'm laughing.
We have over-identified with the downloads and the information. We have over-identified with that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And there was a reason for that. It was necessary, kind of like boundaries. People had to put up boundaries so they could find themselves, and then now the boundaries come down because
Well,
you know.
I don't
So,
want to. I don't want to break your stride. I'm just adding to what you're saying by saying,
uh-huh,
there's a saying: never mistake for the finger that points to the moon
right.
as the moon itself. Right. So the finger has
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
pointing the way to the moon, pointing the way to the moon, but we can't mistake the finger for the moon.
Yeah. That's right. And this, okay. So what I would sum that up with, and then go back to the human, right?
Mhm.
Uh, so we look for information that will validate our existence, that will substantiate our bullshit. And I don't mean that disrespectfully.
No, I know.
I just mean let's get real, people.
Yeah.
This is the ascension, right? This is the unveiling. Nothing gets left out, right? Until we see everyone as ourselves, right?
That's what's
So
meant by that's what's meant by everything will be taken away. All that is not you.
yes, of course. All that differentiates you, the only thing that doesn't is our soul signature, and this is where the difference is between soul and spirit to me. So, so what I've always done, and and especially in the last year and a half, I've really drilled down, and that is to tap into my Akashic record. To hell with all the bells and whistles and what happened in Atlantis and what happened in Lemuria and Egypt. Fuck all that. Excuse my French.
Yeah.
But because it served its purpose now. It's not taking anything away. Yes, you were that priestess then, and yes, you were that priest then, and yes, you were that warrior, and you were that whatever. But I'm Todd Medina right now, and I'm involved with Soulogy, and I have this family, and I have friends, and I have relationships, and I have whatever. This is the only thing that I didn't have before I came into this life.
Yep.
So, for me, what's helped me a lot in the last year and a half has been to go into my own Akashic record. And really, I wouldn't even say Akashic record. I would say go into the universe.
Yeah.
And it's a language for me that is all feeling. And for me, I was blocked in many cases, like most of us, because I wasn't because my feelings were being shrouded by my emotions, my unbridled emotions. So now you come into an understanding or an agreement or equilibrium with the emotions, and then you start to. For me anyway, I start to feel like right now I don't feel so great, but that's okay. I'll sit with this. I will sit with this for 2 days, 5 days, 2 weeks. When I'm not on camera, I'm either here doing this or editing, or most of the time I'm in silence because I'm sitting with what I'm feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so at some point the clarity will come.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the human, this is for the human being. The human being. This is for him.
Mhm.
because he has been the horse that we've been riding. And this is what I was going to say about all the information that comes out there. And I have this talk, and I say it all the time. I have this talk every night. I go up to these councils, so to speak, and I say, I'm here to represent the human being. Okay. Because you have an agenda. You have a specialty, right? There's certain things that you bring to the party, right? Arcturians I work with because that's part of the 5D commerce, but they're not going to run the entire show. And neither is the Pleiadian part of me or the Syrian part of me or the Jesus part of me or whatever it is. They're all there. They're all here. First of all, they're all
Exactly.
here.
Exactly.
And this is why when you see me talking to people, I'm doing this and I'm doing that because if I'm not looking right at them, because and some maybe I do it in my head a lot too. I don't know, but this is how I do it. I know what that is. I know where that information comes from. If I have somebody on the show like you, as an example, I know I'm going to Egypt. I know that. Even if you don't tell me anything, I just know to do that,
Mhm.
or whatever. But anyway, my point is this is the whole thing. To me, it's the sovereignty of the human being all across the board. See, Earth is a big diversion, but it's upside down. It's actually paradise. So if something's coming in, I'm going to question it. I
Mhm.
have the right to do that because my sovereignty is a soul made in the image. Everything that was, is, and will be has universal right to do that. In my opinion, now, I could be wrong, and they're going to kick my ass when this life is over. But I don't think so. You know, our liberation, our sovereignty, and our freedom as the free energy of the universe uh, has no bounds, has none. Uh, it just doesn't. And I guess just to kind of conclude that, is that I'm here to be Todd Medina, but not Todd Medina, the human that needs to do the shadow work and what do the program. Man, we have done so much work. We have.
Yeah.
We
We could
actually
become
have.
over processed, like a piece of Velveeta cheese, Oh, we
Understand?
need to
Yeah,
process it. We
it
could
is
be over processed too, right?
of course, it's a program.
Right.
It's a program, right? It is. It's a program.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean everything is a program, really? Does that mean that it's no good? No. But at some point, you move on to the next thing, right? And I think where we're at now is this creativity thing and
Mm.
collaboration,
And
true collaboration,
imagination, right?
yeah, without restriction, too. You know, I like to write. I love to write. I love to rhyme. I love to write poems. I love to write songs.
You like to sing songs now?
Well, I mean, do I like it? I'm. It's. Let me finish. My point is, I meet up with these guys this summer. I've never sat in a studio. It's gotten to the point now where we have these sessions. I can't read my words, and I can't recite anything that's memorized because it's not just creativity and collaboration. It's just like a mirror of the universe. Everything gets to flow at 100% of capacity without restriction. This is a band of frequencies that is going to shock this world, and all we got to do is put it together. But getting to your thing about your comment about singing, I went to a little dinner party last night with Serena and Ty at Serena and Ty's house. Serena made some great food, and Ty set up everything. Now I'm in a little room. Now it's one thing to put on the headphones and the music coming through your ears, and you're on the camera, and we can put up a cartoon, and now they're not looking at me. I mean, self consciousness and anxiety and nervousness, these are alchemical material. They're not to be, just like sadness, anger, etc. They're not to be. We're not. They're not to be put at arm's length or separated from, because you can't do it. What you can do is you can convert it. So you say to me, you like to sing. No. I sat against the wall last night, and there's people in the room, and I'm like Jim Morrison at the doors, like trying not to look at him, turning around, But did I have my moments? Yeah, I had a couple of moments, and that feels good. And it feels good when a guy says, a drummer who I just met turns around and says, "Wow, man, that was good." Now that's I'm yes, but this is how it goes. I think for everything, you know, control, restrictions, uh, pressure, self-imposed stress, because it's all self-imposed. What are these a result of? Or I should say, what is the nervousness, the anxiety, the worry, the self-consciousness? What is that? What is that characteristic? Well, where did that come from? Well, it comes from us. It comes from us trying to control. And I'm not saying anything that hadn't been said,
Do you
but
think,
think,
let me ask you a question about trying to control?
hmm,
I was thinking about this recently when I was writing a blog, and I realized that so many of our fears and our neuroses and our complexes and all of this, at the end of the day, well, you could say, where does that come from? Well, it can come from, duality. It can come from wherever. But I'm going to ask you if you feel that I might be onto something with this. I think at the bottom of it, it might not be the most deep root and the end all, but I think one of the roots of that is a need to feel safe. I think so many people in this
of
world don't
course,
feel safe.
of course. But that saying, what is it? The ego wants to like organize everything perfectly, which
Right.
is control.
Exactly. To
Okay,
feel safe.
and if the vehicle that we call the human being, which I think is not fair, let's say if this newly awakened human being with its multidimensionality doesn't understand that it's my very frequencies of control that is contributing to our collective experience. So absolutely 100%. They don't call it the root chakra for nothing, you know?
Mhm.
This is where we it's not where you chop the tree down, the chakra tree. It's where you start from. And I've had enough of this bullshit with let's get these implants out. Let's I no, I'm not saying they're not there and everybody has their own reality. This is just Todd speaking to Todd. I'm
No.
more like, hey, I want to get down there in that darkness and I want to get jiggy with it. If the devil, and this is all Todd's stuff, the
Yeah.
devil wants to come out with his four minions and lay me out and sodomize and rape and whatever for 1,000 nights on two different occasions. That's why I went there. That was me cleaning up my root chakra. You know, in order in my experience in 2016, I accepted no BS, all points of dark and light. And then I was, oddly enough, 3 weeks later, shot out of Houston, Texas, and this whole life started. I had another visit with a procession of, we might call, I'll just use the words, demonic, dark entities when I got COVID last October. But I made peace with all of them. But you know how I have done that for myself? I become them. Now, does that mean I got to go out there and become a rapist and someone that beats people up? No, I get in there with them, and that's I think what we actually do as a soul. So back to the thing about the root chakra. All obviously that's where the sexual power comes from, the sacred sexual power, the life force energy. And so we look at this, we see the distortion of sexuality on the earth, and we understand that we are quantum computer organic beings. We don't need to hear something over and over and over and over. That's why I don't think the disclosure platforms and the conspiracy platforms are going to be. They're no longer going to be going like this. They're doing this already. And why is that? Because our intelligence is no longer being questioned within ourselves. And the reason that that's happening is because we have done this work. We've gone to the root. We've gone through all that stuff, you know. enough. I'm not saying it's over. What I'm saying is we've done enough to recognize
Mhm.
that if we can accept the fact that we are who we are, what we are, at least be on that trajectory,
Mhm.
um, this our lives change, the world changes, and um, but yeah, I think that what you're saying is obvious, and it's been obvious because we've had it beat down our throats for 10 years, and I'm talking 2012 to now. But yeah, let's give ourselves some credit.
Yeah.
Let's actually, because let's actually, I just can't take another step in life in fear.
Yeah.
And if it means I get arrested, or if it means I get put in prison, or if it means whatever the fuck it means, doesn't mean I'm gonna go out and make stupid decisions. I'm gonna pick my, calculate the risk, but I just can't do it anymore. And I think it's getting really loud for me, and I imagine that other people are feeling the same way. I don't want to leave here. I don't want to get beamed up, but I'll be damned if I'm going to live on my knees in any way with
Yeah.
as a result. I'm not,
Yeah.
so I mean, I'm discombobulated a bit, and I'm okay with that. It's okay.
Yeah.
I
It's
work I
real.
work hard. You know what I
Merciful.
mean? But I'm
Yeah.
just saying I work hard. I'm a little out of whack. Obviously I was emotional in the first 20 minutes of this or whatever.
I like that because it
But
shows that you are real and you are human and you are
mm,
soul.
mm, yeah. I mean,
You could have
there's
said, "Oh, Julie, I don't want to come on,
no,
right now,
no.
or I just can't," or but you showed up like you always show up. You showed up, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm at a point right now where it's pretty pivotal. Um, there's a lot, and I think this is not Todd, but I can only speak for Todd. But if you look at November
Yeah.
2022, you know, I feel like powering up. I feel like, I'm turning 61 December 9th. December's always been my power month. Uh, there's a lot of, 12, 369, 12. I mean, there's just a lot going on there. And, but I feel like that we're at that point, and it's that stripping down. Now, the lady that was on yesterday, Christina Papa Giorgio, who
Yeah.
a lot of people follow. She, in the first 40 minutes, she laid out what's happening her way, and she
Yeah.
and I think her pedigree, her resume, going back to early 1990s, the people she studied with, all the stuff that she's done,
Yeah.
it gives her some credibility, some substantial credibility.
Hmm.
Um, and again, you got to take what you, but the thing is, she talks about the period from the 22nd, no,
Hmm.
the 11th of November through the
Oh, that's
21st,
right. Yes.
21st of December. This is her description of that period is kind of like a, uh, I don't want to use the eye of the needle thing. I mean, it's just a squeeze. It's a squeeze. It's a last ditch effort, so to speak. Go in and own your stuff, and at the same time start creating from the new energy, or however you want to put it. I feel like that this is what's happening right now. I feel like for me, I'm not at a crossroads. I guess you could describe it that way, but there's all this stuff teetering, you know, abundance, uh,
Yeah. I can agree with
relationships,
that.
my my fear or lack thereof, all
Hmm.
these things that are sitting there in the balance.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't know. It's just like take a breath, take a breath, take a breath. If you need to cry, cry. You need to get pissed off and kick a, go outside and kick a rock or something, or punch a pillow, or, you know, whatever. You know, I
Who
can't.
cares?
Um, I said this the other day. I will be damned if I'm going to uh, be in a situation or environment where my emotions are not allowed. Now, the projection of my emotions, that's on me. But if I'm angry,
Hmm.
I'm gonna own that,
Yeah.
right? I may have to take something back or whatever, but we're all making progress.
Yeah.
But if I'm sad, I'm going to be sad. And look, let me just say this to everybody. This is, might as well, thank you for giving me the opportunity because I don't get to do this.
I love it. This
It,
is
it
perfect.
let's stop trying to fix each other. Okay? That's the root of this whole division. It really is. If who the fuck am I to think that I can fix you or know better what's for you? Who am I to think that you can't find it on your own? The wounded healer is dead. Leave the bitch there. Or the bad, the wounded healer's gone. No, well,
Yeah.
this is for me. This is for me. I still overgive. I still do that. I find myself in this situation, which at a human level, um, part of it is, and I could have done something about it. Um, Financial. I haven't been this. I haven't been in this situation in a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend. And I'm just telling you the truth. Okay,
Yeah.
I got $20 in my pocket this morning, in the bank, whatever. Right. My friend calls me. I made a choice. Here's $13 of the $20. Now, did I overgive, or was I being who I want to be? This is the kind of things that we're finding out. And and I did what I did because it felt right, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to allow the everything to just kind of land organically and naturally and not get in the way and not try to fix, right? Because there's nothing to fix. This is part of the program. We do it with each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean you don't have self examination and self introspection? And no, that's not what I'm
No.
talking about. What I'm talking about is the whole mindset. We tell each other that something's wrong with each other. And I'm guilty, or even thinking of it. But this is, I think, the kind of stuff that we're not going to take with us. But in order for us not to take it with us, and Christina put it in her own way, she said something like, "Don't the only ones that are going to go are the ones that have this level of integrity, et cetera, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera."
Mm-hmm.
But instead of throwing, and I'm not knocking her, I'm just saying, you talk about integrity, you talk about this word or that word. What does that really look like? You know what it looks like? It looks like me trying to fix you, which is a judgment for me about you. Okay. And it's also a judgment about me because I must think I'm really something. You know, we are empaths and we are narcissists. Every single one of us. Every one of us. And those two parts of us, like all the other polarities, can live together. But they're not going to live together if we're trying to fix each other or point out the differences, because that is narcissistic, period. Okay. And this is the ego dying in all of us that wants to be heard because it thinks it's not going to be with us on the other end of this thing. But what I tell my ego is, now I tell it, I don't know. I could be worm dirt, but here's where I'm at. You know, I like these other voices, because it's really not one voice, it's a bunch of voices. I don't know about you, but I have multiple personality disorder, and I personally think everyone in the world does. That's not what it is. It's multidimensionality. But
Exactly.
I tell my ego, hey, look, I see your strength, and it's not what you think. Your strength is that you let me know about me instead of letting me know about what's not me by rationalizing, substantiating my existence by the judgments, uh, that I make about other people or other things, to hold up the false self, which is not me. Um, yeah, so I just I'm soul. I'm soul, and I'll live that way, until I go into the next whatever.
No, and then you'll keep living it.
Yeah, true. That's
You were
probably.
doing it before you got here too. Oh, Todd, man, you're just lighting people up right now, and that's what it's all about. I thank you. I thank you for coming today exactly as you are, whether you were tired or felt good or were emotional or not, or and it's really it's one of your signatures. It's what you do, and yeah, I hear about the overgiving thing too. It's like we see when we have depleted ourselves from overgiving, and then as you said, well, can even that be a judgment sometimes? It's a dance between balance and imbalance and truth and paradox and all of this. I have a question for you. Do you mind? You've
No,
given
go ahead.
so much to even have it in you to answer a question right now.
Yeah, I'm fine.
um I was thinking about it this morning. Well, and other times recently. Okay, true. Yes, we are multidimensional. Some of us are aware of lives in parallel universes and other times and other places and blah blah blah. Um, but for most of us, the what we're doing is right here, right now, in the incarnation that we're in, right? Like this,
Hmm.
this is it. This is the central point of our being, even if we have all these other aspects. This is where it's happening. And I really feel like, by virtue of what is going on this, interdimensional uh, multiverse called Earth, is, I mean, it's, you can't even put it into words what's going on right now, but we all feel it. We know something's going on because it's going on in us, and it's us, and we're it. So we just know. Um, so I'm really starting to feel like this life, this incarnation, this body, whoever, whether it's me or someone else, I really feel like this is the magnum opus. This is the swan song. This is
Hmm.
the coalescence of all that we can remember of our aspects and
Hmm.
dimensions and past lives and future lives and whatever. I really feel like this time right now for humanity and for the individual is really a magnum opus. Do you get any sense about that?
Absolutely. The way I look at it is this, okay? Because again, if we're here integrating polarities, what's the polarity? The polarity is I am soul. Oh, let's just say I am a infinite life or infinite energy that never dies, or there is death. Right now, the way I do it is okay. If I'm going to be worm dirt, that's one polarity. I am all that is, all that was, and all that will ever be. Therefore, whatever energy I am, whatever I am, it will live forever. But what I do is I just bring them in the middle and say, I am soul. I am soul, whether I'm going to be gone when it's over or the other way, right? Now, so to answer your question or to speak to what you're saying, is that um, I look at it too more like, okay, if I have this, if it's true and I feel that it is, you know, I have access to this multidimensionality. It's all information, but the most important information I can gain, to your point, is from this, from me, from my life experience, combined with all that. But the best information comes in the moment. Because the thing about the moment, the eternal moment, that's all we ever have, right? And the thing about the moment is everything that's occurred up to this point is up for questioning. Okay. So that kind of makes it kind of convoluted and complicated, but at the same time, it can make it very simple because all I have is this right here, right here. Do we have these programs running between us where we can't have this continuity and this um, symmetry energetically and spiritually? or are we going to be uh, going through the loops and the programming and see, this is where I say enough is enough is enough. Let's
Mhm.
just own who we are, what we're a part of, which is what, you know, what do you want to do? What makes you happy? What do you like to eat? Oh, well, you can't eat food. We're not going to be eating food. How the fuck do you know? I'm going to go down here to McDonald's and I'm going to get a cheeseburger because I like it. It makes me feel good. I don't want to hear about all that stuff. That's your universe. That's not mine. What do you want to do? What do you want to eat? Who do you want to play with? Who do you want to make love to? You know? Because that's what if they, okay, if we're going to separate that which made us in the image of, what do you think it wants for us? Some people say the universe is subjective and it doesn't have, you know, but what does a human have? The human has emotion. The human has heart. The human has something that none of these other aspects have.
Mhm.
If you follow the narratives that the archons or the reptilians or other, even some of the ones that talk to us,
Yeah.
stealing our energy in human terms.
Mhm.
What do you? They were taking, and it sounds like some kind of conspiracy, but it's not, because what was happening is because of our experience, an experience that we chose in a realm that we all designed, we had to go through this journey of having unbridled, uncontrolled emotions running rampant. Certain energies uh, nurture that, right? Certain energies took advantage of that. Well, that's not my problem. I actually think they're smart, because why let this powerful human energy get out of the story? Just look at it interjecting. Why let this powerful human energy from the earth go to waste? My understanding is, when I sit with it, that you could take 100, 200, 300, 500 humans and you can run entire planets.
Exactly.
So, just to sum it up, um, I don't know.
So you hear about, may I ask you another question?
Sure.
So you hear about all the time about this siphoning of energy from humans and like the matrix and like we're batteries and they're siphoning off our emotions and this and that. Now, we don't really have to discuss whether we believe that, whether we don't, but what I want to say is, or play with, are two things. Um if that really is a reality, it's a kind of brilliant in a way to harvest energy, right? Isn't that what we try to do all the time? We're the solar energy, solar
What?
power.
What
Let me finish
exactly?
part two.
Exactly. That's a good point.
But part two is uh I lost my train of thought. Let me get it back. So harvesting energy. Oh, the other thing that you hear a lot of people talk about, and a lot of other dimensional beings too talk about, whether it's angelics or arcturians or whatever, is that they don't have the breadth and depth of emotion that the human has. That is part of the deliciousness and
Mm-hmm.
ecstasy and beauty of like coming into human body, is that you get to
Mm-hmm.
experience that vast array. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's kind of a paradox, because now you're doing that and you can get in balance and you're like, oh God, I got to bring it back to 0 point. And it's like, well, what the fuck was the point of having all these emotions if I have to fucking 0 point
Mm-hmm.
everything all the time? But my point is, and I've even heard people who have come on your show. There was somebody, a female guest that came on recently, and something other dimensional had done something for her, and she's like, well, did you factor in emotions? And they're like, no, I forgot to factor
Yeah,
in.
that was Alicia Brochet.
Yeah,
Alicia
and they didn't
Brochet.
factor in for that because they themselves don't have emotions. So
Right.
two things that we're speaking to here. One is, you know what about this harvesting of energy from our emotions? Just another concept? I don't know. And uh and what about the fact that how delicious that we get to have, emotions. And the other thing is, wow, if there's supposedly all these other beings harvesting energy from our emotions, why don't we do that? Why don't we do some internal sourcing? It's like,
Hmm.
instead of being afraid of our emotions or pushing them away, or like, well, I'm feeling anger right now. Okay, it doesn't mean I have
Mm.
to act on it, but what happens when I course all of that energy of anger through my body, or joy or ecstasy or grief, or whatever. I just wanted to speak to that a little bit and bring it up.
Hmm.
I know you have a
Well,
brilliant mind to talk to it.
no. That was really where I was going with the previous one. Was the first part being our journey was designed in general uh, to go into a place where they did have, or we designed this range of emotions, which is a powerful energy that's totally wild and almost like a reckless abandon. It's just out there. So our journey was to come into awareness, to apply our multidimensionality, to do what you're talking about, which is what I believe is our main purpose, our main gift. I say purpose, but our contribution to the universal family, to the universe itself, is the code that we write by learning, by not learning, but by actually alchemizing these emotions. And we're doing exactly what you said, and that's what we're doing. See, that's and it's in anyway. That's what we're doing. That's the whole thing right there. And look, there's no right or wrong. We're basically writing code through the experience, and it's a very unique experience. So, um, I think that's what we're doing. And for me, it's not like if I'm angry, I'm gonna sit with my anger.
Mhm.
And really, as we're all getting through this, we're understanding that when we have these emotions that need attention, we're not talking to anybody, because every time we do, we're just get to keep the ball rolling, right? And then we get lost in the superficial. We get lost in the
It
story.
becomes a labyrinth of a mind fuck that you're lost
Right,
in.
right.
Now there's so much other shit covering up your emotion, you can't even connect to it anymore because you're
Right.
lost in the story, right?
For me, yes, I absolutely agree with you. For me, that sitting with the emotion, it's not like, oh, I got to own this. No, well, no, really, it's more like
No, you have to
sitting.
just be still with it.
Well, it's more like sitting with a child. You know, I mean, I had 6 children, and you have a
Mm.
child that's angry. You know, what do? You just say, hey, it's all right to be angry. It's okay to feel the way you feel. And what happens to these children? They just melt. And this is
Mhm.
what happens for me. Like I was in deep sadness. Um, just deep sadness last night. But I didn't run from it. You know, I sat with it. I sat with it till 6 o'clock in the morning. From about 3:30 to 6 o'clock in the morning, and I cried my ass off. And it's not about any person. It's not about any event. It's not about anything. It's about an emotion that was offering itself to me to be alchemized. Now, what does that look like? I don't know. This is the code we're writing. But I know this, that it's powering me up even though I don't feel that great. But this is key. How can you get a feel? How can you get a feel? You know, if you can't feel and respect and honor these emotions, because they are a superpower.
Mhm.
And that's why all these souls are lined up to come here.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
because what you said earlier, from a soul level, I don't look at pain as pain. Now suffering, that's different, right? That's self-imposed. At some point you got to admit that.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you said, we came here to experience these extremes, and from a soul level, that's huge. That's huge. Now, from a human level, it's been a bit of a journey. We all know that, but man, yeah, the emotions are our superpower,
Yeah.
and I don't think anyone's got it figured out. But I do feel like that it's very simple. When I woke up, reawoke, they told me keep it simple, keep it
Yep.
simple,
Yeah.
and there is one, there is a perfect order, and we were all unique and equal souls. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you go in there and you're a human being, and here we are.
You
But
know,
yeah.
when you think of, when I think of anyway, because I studied China and practiced Chinese medicine for a long time, acupuncture and
Mm,
all that stuff, and talk about pain is stagnant energy, so it's a blockage of energy that's
mm-hmm,
not moving, and that most disease, which I considered to be just a disorganization of energy,
mm-hmm,
um, is most disease uh, at its root has an emotional component, you
yeah,
know? And
yeah,
and so, for years and years, holistic practitioners were saying, and people who just know things and know their bodies and can feel, were saying that, like, cancer was like stuffed emotions, like especially repressed anger, right? It's like
yeah,
what's eating at you. And now it's so many, this is one of the things I really like about being alive at this time, is like things that our own gnosis and our own hearts told us are being like proven by science. Well, is it important to you or to me? No, maybe not. But what I like is that it opens the collective consciousness up to say, oh, my friend was talking about these things 20 years ago and thought they were crazy. And it's not so that we don't have to look crazy. That's not the thing. It's so that minds and hearts open, right? But
mm,
so back to harvesting of energy, it's like, if we aren't going to utilize it, and we're not going to move it, and we're not going to work with it, whether it's an outside force or an internal force, something will, because that's what cancer cells are doing. They're
mm-hmm,
harvesting
mm-hmm.
emotions that are just sitting there not being dealt with, that have now crystallized or come solid or come into form, or actualize themselves within a cell, and cancer's like, yeah, let's eat that shit up, we'll have a feast, this is a cornucopia, so it's like, one way or another, if you're not going to access the energy of your emotions, somebody or something will.
Yeah, that's right. And you could say that a lot of ways. And I think the other thing, because I mean, a big um, tool for self appraisal for me is humility. So humility to me is something that you can only learn through experience. You can't just be given it. Um, and it doesn't matter what other people think your level of humility is or not. It's just it's to me it's like a direct line with the universal, right?
Mhm.
So we say a lot of things in these communities. We talk a lot, we do, and I'm right there. But it literally there is a difference between walking that talk and not. And I think what's happening now, certainly what's been happening, and maybe it all ends with the solstice on the 21st of December or whatever. Um, it's being put in our face, and so to your point about the harvesting, really think about it. Where have I done that? Where have I poked somebody? Where have I poked the bear? Where have I poked the bear
To harvest
until the
energy.
until the bear got upset or sad or hurt or whatever? Okay, because let me tell you something. That's karma.
Hmm.
Karma will come back on you, and it ain't going to take long. You talk about instant manifestation, but it's not like you're going to walk out there and get hit by a bus. It's going to be more like these major revelations within yourself, and are we going to pick up the ball and say, I poked that bear. I wasn't getting what I wanted. Okay? I'm not getting what I want. So I'm going to poke the bear, which is a projection, until that bear emits the energy that I'm going to inhale. And it's like shooting or snorting a line of cocaine,
Yeah.
because it's here and it's gone,
Yeah.
right? So you know, I just really feel like, and I'm really
That's brilliant.
uh, interested in. seeing how things develop with the social media part of the Soulogy Network platform, I think to myself, wouldn't it be cool if nobody could comment?
Yeah, I noticed you've been taking away the ability to comment on posts, and I was wondering when you're going to do that. That's awesome.
No, I actually haven't done that, but
Well,
maybe the
Facebook has
university.
been doing it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, really, like, can you know? In other words, we have these ripples going out. They start with a thought. You know what I mean? Because you can't say, "Oh, well, they said that, so I had to say this." Well, really, why? What? And that's not even the point. The point is, what are you thinking as a quantum thought creator? What are you putting into the field when you poke the bear?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you poking the bear?
Yeah.
Because I'm rationalizing that the bear is at fault or lesser than me or more powerful than me and not giving me what you know what I mean?
Or
Like,
irritated me, and now the bear irritated me, and now I want to irritate the bear, or whatever. It goes
well,
on.
that's true too, right? That's true too. This whole revenge or but again, it's a substantiation for an existence that is not going with us. It's not conducive to writing code, to writing the universal code. It's not. It's the junk that won't go. They'll get it and they'll look at it and go, okay, we know what not to do. But see, you got to remember, they're living vicariously through us.
Mm-hmm.
So, so what's happened is there's been a shift. When I say us, I mean again, this is all inside of me. But
Yeah.
but all that information that was available to me before I came into this incarnation, right, was meant for one thing and one thing only, to bring me back to who I am and what I'm a part of, my awareness. So now what's happening? We're writing the code for the universe. And that is where the rubber meets the road, because the universe is not going to give us that power, so to speak, right? It's not going to allow us to birth a planet or a solar system, because believe me, we can do that. We probably already have, some of us, if not all of us, unless we have the utmost integrity. And the integrity is not something my integrity is not something I can explain to you or say, oh, here's the evidence, you confirm it. That's not integrity. In fact, that's out of integrity. Integrity the the knowing. The integrity is and I've said this to myself, okay, because I'm on the same journey everybody else is. I had self-consciousness, I have nervousness, I even with the show, but a path was put together through collaboration. Morgan, Todd, many other people, and the idea was to get these people on to the platform that haven't been heard. Okay, and you know what? For the last 2 or 3 months, I look at myself and I say, "You fucking done a great fucking job."
Yes, you have.
And nobody's going to take that away from me. And I'm not going to wear it on my fucking, like a flag. But this is just a personal insight into myself. This is where we go. This is, we spend our time looking for posts and trying to validate our existence or talking to people that are going to tell us what we want to hear. Then we might as well go home. Because what's going to happen is, per Franco and other people, we're going to get to the other side and said, holy shit, what an opportunity I missed. You know? So
Yeah.
I can honestly say that I have always loved myself. I was called conceited when I was a kid, but I wasn't conceited. I just loved myself, and I went through a lot, like we all have, but that never went away. You asked me on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 10. Period. And I said this when I was homeless. The whole world may tell me I'm wrong, but I know my truth, and I could be wrong. I could be the one out of 8 billion that's wrong. but I'm not going to live my life like that. And remember, we're quantum thought creators. That means we are building the shared experience through our thoughts.
Yeah.
So again, if there's a bear, it's not about poking the bear. We know now. I'm taking the energy from the bear.
Well, you're also
But
poking yourself because you are the bear.
well, of course, but yeah, but my point is the questioning, the integrity is stop buying your own bullshit and say, for me
Mhm,
anyway, step
mhm,
one, why do I want to poke? Why did I poke that bear? And the next
mhm,
time it happens, why do I want to poke that bear? And then you go, wait a minute, what inspired me to want to poke the bear? Oh, I'm jealous. Oh, I'm angry, or I'm just in a bad mood, or I'm sad. Okay, and that's where it stops.
yeah.
You go, wait a minute, thought, and I do this a lot, and I even do it with actions sometimes. But I'm having to find out that I don't have to so much because I'm not doing it so much. And that is, um, the thought goes, "Oh my
Mhm,
God, he's an asshole." Oh, let me pull that back. I can do that because I am the I am. I can do that. This is my universe. You know, we can do that. We do this in dimension with things all the time. We need information, we go grab it, right? So I feel like that's where we're coming to. You know, it's almost a wordless. It's a wordless proposition by the human definition. It's true telepathy, and my other big saying is, stop trying to figure this shit out because that is a program. Just just be it. You got the information, just be it. And again, keep it simple. So, what do I love doing? What's my passion? What are my passions? And of course, the great value that we have here, and I think a lot of people, regardless of their narrative, will have said this or agree that the coming out party, the unity consciousness, the unification, it only makes sense, is is through co-creation and collaboration without restriction,
yes.
right? In the physical form. Because if you think about it, what we're doing is we're emulating the universal. We're
Yeah.
putting in to the best of our abilities the perfect design or the perfect mirror, knowing basically knowing we'll probably never get there. But that is the perfection, and that is where the code's made because you're meeting new imperfections and you're refining. And it's come
Mhm.
down to the gut level now where we have to really own our thoughts and stop talking shit.
Yeah. And
Stop saying, yeah.
as your brother and our dear friend on the other side of the veil, Franco Di Nicola, I mean, there was so much of value that he shared with the world and continues to share from the other side of the veil. But I think one of the most important things that he really reminded us of is that, we think about the quantum field or the energy field or whatever all the time, right? And we think about it informing us. But he reminded us, you are co creating, you are
Mm-hmm.
informing that quantum field as much, equally, to the fact that it's informing you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a game changer right there. If you realize, and then when you start to realize, like, oh, what happens to the energy field if I poke the bear? What happens if I don't poke the bear? How am I co-creating with the field? And you start to see how your thoughts and your actions are coming alive from the field in front of you in a flash of a second, and you start to realize, wow, what Franco said is real. Like, it's not a fancy idea. It's very empowering, and it's very humbling, you know very
Well,
humbling.
you know, I say the universe is our twin flame. Everything external of me is one thing. It's really me, but I mean, but there is an external, you know, there is an external we all can acknowledge in this realm for sure, you know. But again, yeah, like, what am I thinking? It's okay to have a bad thought. It's okay to call someone or think that someone's an asshole, right? That's step one. Let's stop judging ourselves. Compassion starts here. And if we have compassion for ourselves and stop judging ourselves and go, well, what did I do wrong? Or you know what? I'm going to be mad at this person because they said something about me that's not true. Are you open to the fact that it might be true? Or are you just going to say, nah, well, whatever. And again, there's no right or wrong here. There's 8 billion different software developers walking the earth. But I kind of look at it like this. That's going to sound funny, but you have, what is it, 7 or 8 million sperm, and you have one egg, right?
Right.
I'm here to fertilize. I'm here to fertilize the holy womb, the holy darkness, the great void. Because let me tell you something, when those things are swimming through the divine feminine to her egg, and a cop, it's the same thing, right? They don't know what's inside there. That is the void. That is the faith. That is the natural innate instinct. We just know that's where because think about it. Where else can you go? Right? I don't see a bunch of other doors for the other 7 million sperms, right? So I kind of look at it like that. I look at it like I want to fertilize the mother goddess through my life and through my present moment, which is so important right now, so we can let that shit go, homie, right? It's so important to understand that I am who I am right now. I'm not who I was an hour ago. I'm not the person I was when we started this talk, because through this field, I've become better through this conversation, through people holding space, through having the fucking balls to cry. So this, I'm in love with her, Mother Goddess, and she's in love with me. And I just think we got to get real now. I'm not saying we got to do anything. I'm saying I'm going to get real. I'm going to get realer, and I'm going to try to just continue to expand and extrapolate what's already been done with what I value as a purpose in my life, is to be a part of Soulogy, not Soulogy, not maybe someone that helped find it or found it, but just to be a part of that. Because to me, as I understand it, Soulogy was an opportunity to build a mirror of the universal to the best of our abilities. Now, the only thing that we're looking at up there that we can't that we have here, but it's not there, is the experience itself, which, to your point, is the value of it being the emotions, the range of emotions, the experience of emotions, the power generated by emotions that went all over the place like a big bang, but now we're pulling that in and we're alchemizing it, and we co-create together. And that's what Soulogy is all about, or part of what it's all about. But the basis of it is come be yourself. Here's a place you can be yourself. Well, that's what we were given here. Go down in this life, plan this life, use your free will to want to go down there. Okay, Todd wants to be part of the Soulogy team, and here's how he puts his life together. And now the humans got to go through it, and the other parts of us are trying to give us clues. And you can reset and redo. Just like I said, I went back in for 2 deep dives. I could have woken up at 25. But the thing is, free will. Okay, I have free will. What am I going to do with my free will? Go stomp on people and poke the fucking bears? No, I'm going to be myself. I have the free will to be myself. And if anyone or anything has a problem with that, that's not my problem. If I have a problem with other people, that's my problem. If I want to go make it theirs, that's poking the bear. So I'm choosing now in this moment to exercise my free will, to embrace the opportunity to just be me, because that's the opportunity we've been given. So what can we do? How can we expand that code? Because we have new raw material here on the earth, which is the range of emotions, by copying what already works, right? When the mother goddess was one cell, one soul, and she split in half, she fertilized, okay? Because she didn't know what was going to happen. She didn't know. So she had this desire and dream. And let me explain something. Desires and dreams are not wants. So I don't care if it's Eastern philosophy or whatever metaphysical belief. There's nothing wrong with desires and dreams, because desires and dreams are come from that range of emotions. They're a human quality.
Well, it's how we got here. It's how everything got here.
That's what I'm saying. So she said, I want a partner. I want a playmate. Boom. Now you got two. Okay. That's the most selfless. It was everything. It was everything, right? Love and trust. But what happens? What happened? This happened to Mother Goddess and Father God. I'm telling you straight up. What happened was the other one had free will, had a mind of its own. And so what happened? You start to have, and I see it as a toroidal field.
Yeah.
People think it's like clash, you follow. No, you're always connected. It's just at that point on the dial comes together, and that's, you could call that friction, you could call it whatever you want, but that is the fodder, that is the whetstone to sharpen the soul. And I'm totally absolutely convinced that the way that works spirit scientifically on the earth is to alchemize our emotions by not just talking about it, but actually, sitting with it and taking the story out. I was sad last night, like I said, from whatever 3:30 or 4 till 6 in the morning. I it story was gone like that. I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna be sad. I'm just gonna feel this sadness. I'm gonna feel this sadness. What is this sadness? It'll teach you something. Well, okay, starts talking to me. I'm talking to myself. I was laughing last night. That's how I broke out of it. Because I was like saying something like we would, like a prayer, and then I just started laughing. I go, oh my God, I'm talking to myself, you know? But there's something, and again, I use the thing with the kids, with my kids. Because, you know, like everybody, you know, we're human beings. But when it comes to energy with children, especially when they're young, there's something innate. There's just something, like mothers know what's wrong. Or I had a lot of those qualities. But my point is, when these kids would be in a state like that, I guess that's what I base it on. Like where I've come to is sitting with these emotions, because I don't know how you. Okay, we'll take the emotions, you put it in this machine, you chop it up, and then it turns into alchemy. No, I just know that I can, and I don't know how it works yet, but I know there's a relationship between my emotions and my expressions, which is my experience and my energy. And I'll just give you one last example. When I came here in July, there was a lot of stuff going on. Everybody knows, for everybody. And I was told, go in the studio if you want to, get in front of the microphone and try to sing. And I'm like, holy shit. Like these people talk about, something's pushing me, I don't want to do it. But you know what? I It was all emotion. It was all emotion, right? From the first song, and Amethyst says at the end of the song, that was a hell of an intro. It's the purest channeling that we can have, is when we can take our emotions unabashed, unafraid. I mean, I was scared. So there's a difference for me. Scared and fear. That's two different things. I was shaking in my boots. My teeth are rattling. But you know what happened? When I got done, I didn't give a shit what anyone. I did one song at the beginning. I did another one that I wrote about Franco. I mixed my emotions. It kind of became like a song about, it's called Unveiled. It became a song. As I was singing it, it was about Franco and Morgan, right? And that's not the right way to put it, but the emotions of those two interactions or beings or relations or connections became that song. So when I got to the end, you know what I do now? I listen to my music. I listen to maybe six, seven songs I've made since July that I went and cut out, and I listen to them. And the reason I listen to them is because I realize what I've done. It took fucking balls. Now this is just Todd judging Todd. It's not. I don't care what anyone else thinks. Uh, but I do that because it's a new experience.
Yeah.
Because what happens is I get to the other side and I go, wow, dude. Even if I never go do it again, you just made something. You just did this. Like you actually alchemized. You shot energy out there. I'm totally convinced that when I got called over here, before the Soulogy Fest, and
Yeah.
then the Mother Goddess started tapping me in, and she laid me down here on this rock for like 5 nights.
Mm-hmm.
These things were only afforded to me because of the opportunities taken. Okay, it's
Yeah.
the truth. It's the truth. She sent me to the end of town one day, and there was a monsoon in front of a incredible magenta pink sky. I mean, it was crazy. I
Oh yeah.
filmed. Remember, I filmed it for 16 minutes.
Yeah.
She's telling me, great job. I'm like, wow. Everything's going to be okay now, right? Everything's just going to be perfect. What happens? The sun goes down. The people that came and pulled up after me, they all left. I turn around, look the other way. There's this fucking giant seven, what do you call them? Seven of those big storms all next to each other coming right at me in these big ass clouds. And she comes to me and says, you want to do something else now? Do you want to re-up your contracts? Would you like to go on another mission? So that struck me so deep because I thought to myself, not, oh, it never ends, but what an opportunity. So she says, what do you want? And I said, yeah, this is what I want. As I stand here right now with what I know, this is what I want. This is what I want to chase. And how do we converge that with what you want from me or what you're offering to me? Do you want to head this? Do you want to take this mission on? And here's all your dreams. Here's all your dreams. And I'm going to put at the point something that contains them all. And you're doing it for me, bud. Right? And I said, let's do it, man. And I'm got my arms in the air and it's raining and cars are driving by and they're all like, what the hell is this guy doing? You know? And there's faces appearing and, that's my own experience.
So,
But from the standpoint of the human lineage and the soul lineage, I understood, just like the decision when I was 25, I understood that I had a choice here. And that choice was basically, I don't want to leave. I want to ride this thing out until as long as I can. So I don't know, I've probably talked. I'm sure I've talked a lot. I mean, I'm out of my body. I'm just, yeah. I could say, well, I've already dropped enough F bombs, but I'm fucked. But you know what? I'm okay with that.
mm-hmm.
I'm great with that. My time on the streets taught me a lot. It
Mm-hmm.
taught me a lot. It taught me to love myself. It taught me to be responsible. It was a fast track. I appreciate it. But you know what? Most of all, it helped me to get. I wasn't in the same shape then as I am now. I mean, I wasn't. But you know what? That's not true. I was just like this. I was like, I'm not okay. I got to the point one day and I went, I'm not okay, and that's okay. I'm not okay. And I'm okay. There's
Well,
something
that's a huge
powerful.
revelation. That means, I mean, that means that yourself feels really safe with yourself, that you're not judging, that your ego's not stepping in and tell you all sorts of story about the fact that you're not okay. Like, that seems like a big stepping into something to admit and be okay with, I'm not okay.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, my ego talks, but he's not my enemy.
But I mean that, yeah. Oh,
He's
yeah.
not my enemy. It's just like no, and it's usually not about me so much. It always is, but I mean, it's like it's more about someone else
When
or
the ego's
something else.
talking, you mean?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so, I've made the comments earlier about the disclosure and conspiracy platforms.
Mhm.
I don't resonate with those. I have an opinion, not to be confused with the truth,
Mhm.
that those things are flatlining and going to go like that
Mhm.
because of whatever beliefs I have, right? But
Some of
well,
that's intuition, though.
I mean, I'm just trying to be
Okay.
what I'm trying to say is this. When I look at those things, God, I can't believe how. Well, you know what? I guess we're all going to be direct and open and transparent, aren't we? So when I go on and I see 50 people on a virtual or regional uh, light worker conference,
Mhm.
you know, it it bothers me. Now I can either rationalize my existence by finding other people that think the same way, finding memes that will validate my existence and my opinion, or I can pull that up in my face 10 times a day, person by person, and take it as far as I can. Like, I may not be able to look at this and say it's Joe Smith. And I look at Joe Smith, I'm like, I met that dude. He's full of shit, you know?
Mhm.
But that's the story. I'm looking at a mirror of me. I'm looking at me. I'm looking at my twin flame, the entire external, right? And I look at this person and I go through the motions and say, okay, I don't just go, oh, we're one. Yay, let me run off with fluffy love and light. No, I look
Yeah.
at my darkness. I say, why are you judging this dude? Who the fuck are you, man? See, my soul talks to me the way my ego does, which is the same way I talk to them. There's a lot of MFs and there's a lot of curse words, but it's bold and beautiful. It's direct,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of where I'm at today.
No guessing.
Well, I think where I'm getting to, and I think I can't just be the only one. I'm not gonna beat around the bush anymore. You either shift or get off the pot, Todd. Okay,
Mhm.
and if
So,
somebody, yeah, I should just shut up. You
no,
know,
you shouldn't shut up. I wanted to say, and I'm sorry if I broke your train of thought. Do you
no,
mind?
no, I don't have it. I'm out of my body. Don't worry about it.
So, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate or do anything here. I'm just asking, like, part of me gets what you're saying. Like, when you see a new age platform and there's 50 guest speakers and it kind of gets your hackles up. How would you describe the difference between whoever has decided they're going to tune into that show and the people who come to Soulogy because it helps them to feel safe and to grow and to be exposed to other people who are having experiences maybe not exactly like them, but like, okay, yes, there's somebody else who interacts with their Palladian, and there's somebody else who is telepathic, and there's somebody else who is growing up, so to speak. And like, you've created this platform for us to come together. And I know I've seen your integrity in action. I know your humility because I've also seen that. So I'm not trying to push any buttons. I'm just giving your soul a chance to speak to what you deem the difference to be between Soulogy or a platform where you get your heckles up.
uh, okay, let me just pre-qualify it, or let me just say this, and this isn't bullshit. Obviously, everyone has their own path, right? So there are people that go to these big conferences and they have life-altering experiences, right? Everything is information. So again, the importance of what I was saying, just to clear that up, is it's not about them, it's about me. Okay.
Mm,
Now, what I see as the difference is that at Soulogy, and I okay, let me not even say it that way. The new platforms, the new Earth, the 5D plus freak, whatever you want to call it, the co-creation and collaboration, everybody is a star. Everybody. I would love to, I could go and get David Icon. I could go get a couple of other, whatever, and I could get some funds, get more people, and I could get my ass out of this hole, right? Or I can do what I know is working, which is coming in real time intel every day, moment by moment, right? It is such a thrill to talk to these people. This lady that came on yesterday, that spoke Swiss German.
Mm-hmm.
The
Oh,
lady that from Europe, the other, Esther something, a couple of weeks ago.
yeah.
I don't vet people. I don't say send me your fucking resume. I don't even say send me a picture,
Right.
right? I don't. I had a lady send me a note the other day. She came on. I enjoyed it. I might have dropped the ball, and I get a lecture. That's okay, right? It's all right. I don't. You shouldn't open your show like that. I didn't know we were on. Well, sorry. I'll just try to keep that in mind. But as far as to your question, it, everyone is a star. It's the round table of spirituality. That's why I don't talk about myself a lot, not in the sense of like what we've talked about today,
Yeah.
not in the depth. I don't do that because
No.
it's not about me. It's about the people, right? And let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you something. Esther Rofen, yeah. So I go on. Everybody's different. I push through, and I'm not trying to like pat myself. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is my greatest provider of code is through my experience. And if my experience is, it's only an example, I'm not saying anything's right or wrong. If my experience is to say, if I don't feel like going on today, I'm not going on. And that becomes the norm, then I'm reducing the amount of new experiences and new code that I can have. So I'll have
Yeah.
4 people on, there'll be 4 different energies, and I have to adapt to that. Or I do my best to adapt to that. What ends up happening is I end up going through a range of emotions, a range of
Mm.
visuals, third eye,
Yeah.
coding, also, so that's part of the reason that I got into the habit of not canceling shows. And I probably have like a 97%
Yeah.
4,000 show, right? The other reason is because 2, 3 years, whatever years ago, Morgan told me, and she was right. She said, when you're out of balance, which I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm always out of balance. I'm not going to say I'm balanced in the sense of like the finality of the word, right? But get that microphone out, start doing what you do, and she was right. And why is that true? Because this is a passion for me.
Yeah.
It's a passion for me to deliver this physical and non-physical, um, you know, band of frequencies, a vibration, so so that it can be so that it can be remixed. So here you are, and here's many other people that I talk to. They want to do a podcast here, like I did with you. Like, here's what I know,
Yeah.
and go for it. I've seen groups, I've seen many couples come together, many friendships. I'm very proud of that. But I'm also tired, and you know,
Understandable.
I would like to see this network happen. But who knows? I told my friend this morning.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Friend came by this morning, and I was a mess, and we didn't have a long talk. And I just said, it could. This is what I want to do, but I could end up um, driving 2 hours to the Grand Canyon and leaving my keys in the car and just start walking. And they're like, "Well, what would happen?" Like, I don't know. Perhaps a
How do you
band
know
of
until you try?
yeah, maybe a mountain lion takes me out. Maybe a ship lands. Maybe I walk into inner Earth. Maybe a band of coyotes, my blood, take me out and eat me. I don't know. I don't know. But I'd like to stay in the game, and I'd like to build Soulogy, and I don't want to be doing what I'm doing at the pace I'm doing it. I feel like it's coming to a point where other faces can now become Soulogy. People look at someone, they go, "Oh, well, that's Soulogy," or maybe they look at Ty and they go, "Wow, he's Soulogy," or
Yeah,
Julie or whoever. But I, you know, uh, I'd like to keep going.
yeah,
I really would, but like I said, I mean, every day is like the slate gets clean or wiped clean, and who knows what revelation I might have tomorrow? Who knows?
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
Soulogy is Soulogy. I mean, it asked to be birthed through you and through you and Morgan, and you know, I- it's a whole field of energy all on its own. It did choose you to be born through, and there is no other Todd, and there is no other Soulogy. But I'm sure everybody on Soulogy honors your soul's needs, and I mean, what you've given in the past 10 years is already going far above and beyond. Without trying to place it in a box of judgment. Um, but you know, um, yeah. I mean, you were also told, like 10 years, and you get to decide if you want to extend that contract or not. And, you know, you also, like you said, you give a lot. I guess, what I can think of from my heart right now is that every time you do a show, and even right now with this show, every single person who is watching has all of their aspects with them. And that includes whoever's guiding them, that includes any angels, that includes could be Palladians, Arcturians, Mary Magdalene, doesn't matter, name somebody. The seen and the unseen are gathering together in a circle right now. You, me, and everybody watching, and those who will watch in the replay. That's a huge field of energy. And I would just ask that, everybody connecting in that circle, um, you know, uh, contribute to the energy pot of Soulogy, whether it's physically, whether it's monetarily, whether it's energy, frequency, vibration. Um, because even though you are heading it up, like you said, everybody who comes on here contributes, and everybody who thinks to like put some money in the tip jar so that you can have a meal contributes, and it is a co-creation. And so the other thing that I would ask of everybody is that it's um in these days and weeks and months to come, that you have you know as much clarity as you want around that. And also that if you are going to keep going, that your soul is open to, not that you're not open to receiving, you are, but that you're open to receiving in ways that you never imagined possible. And
Yeah.
that you are blessed with ease and grace with whatever comes between today and when that decision is made, and when the Soulogy network opens. These are the words spoken into the energy field today for you personally, uh, for the energy field of Soulogy, and for all who are connected in our hearts through Soulogy. Thank you.
Mm, thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Oh my gosh, Todd. I have to say that I've literally by now I've watched thousands of conversations on Soulogy, And obviously, it's changed my life in so many ways. I spoke to that at the beginning, and we're having this conversation because of you and because of Soulogy. And in a way, I am speechless, but I want to say that I am thankful, and I want to say that of everything that I've ever listened to you, whether it was you on someone else's show or you on Soulogy or whatever, and if somebody said, pick a list of your favorites or whatever and put them in a pile, this today, right here, what you've said, what you've shared, what cards you have laid on the table through by virtue of your open heart is it's absolutely one of my favorites. And again, we're not I'm not going to go into a head thing of, oh, judgment, one's favorite more than the other. I'm just saying from my heart, this is these are some of my favorite energies, frequencies, and vibrations that I've ever felt from you, and I have so much gratitude for the fact that it happened in co-creation today. So thank you so much, Todd.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
Okay. Bye
Bye.
bye. Much love.